This is Tony Gleason. You're watching the Break It Down show.
Brought Tony Gleason on. No one's going to yell at him today. No one's going to talk at him. I love Zenny. Zenny gets excited, and that's why I like to have him on the show, because he gets passionate. But today, even though I haven't let you talk yet, you're going to get to talk. Man, thanks for coming on and discussing shortstops. Brian is going to join us in a little bit. You guys may overlap, may not, but more importantly, I wanted to talk to you about shortstops. So thanks for coming on the show. And I guess let's start with, did you already have your top 10 shortstops locked in? Or did you have to figure that out?
I had to figure it out.
How have you evolved over the years when you think about shortstops and what it means to be the greatest?
See, okay, I've been religiously following the sport I think this is the 10th year of which I've done it.
Uh-huh.
I am very much I'm part of the group that the old baseball fans hate. I'm an analytics nerd. I have been.
Yeah.
So I think I'm not. So you would ask me this question: who are the top 10 shortstops? A year ago, 10 years ago, 9 years ago, I would have gone off the batting average, OPS, total amount of hits. So now I'm more into wins above replacement, weighted runs created plus. I value offense a lot more than defense. However, with shortstop, I do give more credit to the defensive side, since it is considered a premier defensive position.
Yeah. Basically, every play they make in shortstop is at least as hard, if not harder, than everyone at first base.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Like they have to catch a ball on the base while they're moving. They have to catch a ball and then throw it, whereas the first base, no knock on first base, but every single play they make is routine compared to a shortstop.
Yeah, I remember years ago when I was younger, I was playing baseball. I'd be in my backyard, actually trying to go through the motions of catching and turning a double play from the shortstop position. And then when I would go out there and actually practice it, I'm like, how do people do this? This is impossible. How do you catch and turn and throw in time to get 2 outs in one play?
Yeah. I mean, you can say that the bunt is hard for a first baseman to field, and I'll totally agree with that. You're making a lot of decisions, but that isn't the thing. You may do that, I don't know, let's say you do it 25 times in a year, right? It's not a common play. Whereas a shortstop's, they just have so many responsibilities. Anyhow, I don't want to denigrate first baseman. So you're right. There is some defensive value there. When you dug in, I see. So your 10th pick is Ernie Banks. Now, I told you there's no holds barred, so you get to pick whoever you want. But help me understand, because Ernie plays more games at first than shortstop. In my book, that makes him not a shortstop. It makes him a first baseman.
Yeah. I really didn't have – this is going to sound bad. I really didn't have – criteria for X amount of games. I do know when you go on Fangraphs, you look at the leaderboards, his name comes up, and I feel as though Ernie Banks, whenever I've heard the name, I've always associated him with shortstop, and maybe it's that was sort of my reasoning for why I put him on the list.
Yeah. Can I move? I'm not trying to officially do this, but could I move you off of that position and say, hey, whatever. Let's just try here. So let's say that Ernie Banks plays. How many games does he have at shortstop? I can look this up. He's got a given number of games at shortstop, right? But he also has more games at first base. I know. Look, you got to put him somewhere, right? But maybe he's more of a multi-position guy when you think about where all these guys line up. I don't think he plays 1,200 games at shortstop. I don't think. I'll look right now and see where you're thinking. But are you movable at all on that?
Ernie Banks, I am very movable on. He played 1,125 at short and 1,259 at first. So it's a pretty close margin there.
Why isn't he the best first baseman?
Well, because if you would look at the best first baseman, the average first baseman is better offensively than the average shortstop. So I feel like his offensive numbers will put him into the top 10.
Okay. Yeah.
For shortstops, but if you were to look over at first base, I don't think he hit enough because you guys like Jimmy Fox, Lou Gehrig's off the top of my head, that neither of them are even Bernie Banks isn't close out. As great of a player as he was,
Right.
He's not Jimmy Fox or Lou Gehrig. So that's why I wouldn't really put him up there as the best first baseman.
So I guess the question is when you look at this and you say Ernie Banks is the 10th best, you're giving him credit for all of his numbers, first base or shortstop, because if he just used his shortstop numbers, the numbers they don't stand up. So you're going to, and this is your call, so there's no judgment here, but you're going to give him credit. All 512 home runs go into his shortstop bucket.
Oh, so here's the thing. I'm usually, this is kind of how I look at things. I'm much more of a rate statistic guy as opposed to just raw numbered total stuff. And once again, that's part of a lot of younger baseball fans view it the same way, because just because you played a ton more games than, say, player X played 500 more games than player Y, that in itself doesn't make him better. That's made him on the field more. Whereas I mainly looked at stuff like weighted runs created plus or weighted on base average, to where even if you looked at just his shortstop numbers, he had, I have right here, like a 133 in the years in which WS was in the year he played shortstop, which would, if you had that for a whole career and played shortstop the whole career, that would probably put him in the top 5. However, since he had to move over off shortstop and his numbers sort of declined, so I don't view it all evenly. I do counter both, but I sort of weight the numbers of when you were a shortstop. It's
an interesting part of the conversation, right? And so I'm a games played guy. For me, attendance is elemental. And again, we're just having a conversation, right? Just
absolutely.
But I'll say Luis Arias sees a lot of pitches. Matter of fact, he sees a ton of pitches. And then someone will say his rate is 3.6. Well, yeah, but at the end of the year, he's going to see 2,400 pitches, and that's going to put him in the top 10%, if not inside the top 10% for pitches seen. So either he saw pitches or he didn't, and the number says he saw a lot of pitches. So, sometimes the pile is the right one to do. And I would say if you are playing here's a great number I discovered the other day. Derek Jeter's last 9 years in the league, which comprises all of his decline, right? Like the entire thing. He is the best shortstop in the American League during those 9 years. He is, at worst, the 5th best, if not in the top 5 somewhere else besides 5, including the National League, right? I mean, that's what he did.
And that was just during those final 9 years still?
Yeah. If you were GM, you'd be like, I'll take 9 years of that at shortstop. A constant attempt, and so there is an argument for the pile, same kind of thing with Pete Rose. If you look at his last, I think it's 10 years, and again, I'm on memory here. It's better than the vast majority of careers ever in baseball. It's not the best, but it's like he's north of 20 WAR, and he plays until he's 45, and so you're taking like age 36 to 45, or maybe it's age 32 to whatever. That hunk of time. It's remarkable, and none of that is his peak, right? It's remarkable how much quality came out of that. So just simply surviving in the big leagues, to me, is valuable as compared to someone who can't withstand the rigors of aging or the challenges of staying healthy on the baseball field.
Yeah, see, but here's the thing. Look at what the word you're saying, using valuable. I think being the most valuable and being the best, I don't think those are two. I don't think those things are equal. I think you could be more valuable because you're out there more and you can rely on. Look at this. If I went out there and played 162 games for the Red Sox right now, I might be valuable because I'm out there. But I'm going to be the worst player on the field as opposed to say Roman Anthony, who is leaps and bounds better than I would ever be, but he's injured right now. That's a terrible example, but
yeah, it's all right though.
What I'm trying to get at is, I just don't think those are the same. I think you can be more valuable while also not being as good as another player. So I think that might be happening with Ernie Banks. I think because when I look at who is the best, I take into consideration what was I usually go with 7-year peak because that's what I just seen a lot of other people use.
Right.
So that amount of use is a bit arbitrary. It doesn't have to be 7. It could be 5. It could be 9, as you mentioned. But point of going is I try to also I look at the whole career. But also try to look at when they were at their best. Because this is my definition of what it means the best.
Yeah.
I think in order when you decide who is the better player, You have to look at when they were each at their best.
Yeah, man, and there's a good case for all that stuff, and we're just pushing back on one another. If you could sign Trevor Story for his whole career, and you get however many games he's going to play, I don't know, let's say 1,500 games, something like that, and you could also sign Derek Jeter in his 2,600 games at shortstop. Don't you want those extra 1,000 games of Derek? We're not talking you. We're talking Derek Jeter versus Story, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a big difference there. And I'm using Derek Jeter because a lot of people are down on him. But that extra 1,000 games, I don't know, man. There's a lot of greatness in those games.
Yeah. No, I think in that situation, like I think at the end of the day, like you're gonna for the most part you're going to want to pick the guy that you know is going to be out there. But like if you're trying to build like the best team possible, I feel like don't you have to take those risks sometimes? Where it's like, look, this guy might be more injury prone. Right. This guy might not be in the lineup every day, but I know when he's at his best, he will be better than anyone else at his position. So that's why I want him out there.
Sure. No, and I get that. Like J.D. Drew was an MVP during his peak when he was on the field, and so even though he wasn't always available, there's Brian. Hey, Brian.
What's up, dude?
Even though he wasn't always available, J.D. Drew was valuable, right? And so you just have to figure out somewhere else. So, Brian, I'm just catching up. Tony and I are talking about games played versus rates and that kind of thing. He has Ernie Banks as his number 10. And so I was just pushing back saying, but he plays first base more often. And I also asked the question, why wouldn't he be one of the best first basemen ever since he played there more? And we're kind of been going through that. So just to catch you up and everybody else, you have, Brian, another guy that plays a lot of shortstop and a lot of center field. You have Robin Yount at number 10. Help us understand that pick.
Well, I'm kind of enamored with it's hard to separate guys. So I went with Robin Yount. I'm just enamored with his young career. I mean, he was a regular at 18 years old.
Just a good regular too.
Could have easily. I mean, gone for 4,000 hits if things had gone right for him. But that's why I included him, just to shine some light on that, because that's an impressive feat that no one really talks about. I mean, even A-Rod didn't do that at 18. You don't get much more talented than A-Rod at 18.
Right.
Yeah. I completely forgot that Yount debuted when he was 18. So I was looking at the numbers today, and I saw like it took a bit before Yount like got in his prime.
Yeah.
So I was like, what was going on with Yount on the stud script? And I saw, he debuted when he was 18 years old. Like, no wonder that it took him a bit to get going.
Yeah, 107 games, 364 PA at 18.
And then same question for you. Is he a shortstop? Is he a center fielder? Or is he a multi-position player?
Yeah, multi-position, I would say. I mean, you can't really say otherwise.
Why not rate him as the top center fielder? Why rate him at shortstop?
I wouldn't have gotten to him in center field. He doesn't have quite the offense of the other guys in center field. He wouldn't have made the top 10 anyway.
Right. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I had Hans Wagner at 10. And that's the main reason why is just because his games played. He plays a lot of baseball. He doesn't play all of it at shortstop.
Right.
And so his position purity is a little low for me. And so although he's incredible and he made the top 10 despite giving up 800 games to Derek Jeter, for example, he was so prolific that those rate stats that we were talking earlier, Tony, they really came into play, his OPS and everything else. So I thought he covered the gap between himself and someone like, there's all kinds of players that he was better. He's certainly better than, I'm just trying to think of some of these shortstops that didn't quite make the cut. Edgar Renteria, he's better than him, and so when I think about that, that's why I have Hans there, but that's why I have him so low though too, is because of the lack of time at the position. And I don't know, are you guys okay with that? Is 10 too low for you guys? I mean, I know you have him higher, but can you wrap your head around my having him that low?
Yeah, I get it with your games played limit. Yeah, I mean, I have him number 1.
I have him number 2.
Because I feel like,
yeah.
You have number 2. Go ahead, Tony. Tell us why you have him number 2.
Yeah.
Okay. This is something I wrestle with myself all the time about. But Honus Wagner played back in the 1800s. Alex Rodriguez played 20 to 30 years ago. You're comparing two completely different games. And if you look at the end of the career offensive numbers, they're actually pretty similar, and at least the ones that I put a lot of attention to. And what it came down to was I gave it to A-Rod because he played more recently, to where it's like Honus Wagner didn't have to play against black people. He didn't have to play against he didn't have to hit against like all these different type of pitches. He probably never saw 100 miles per hour. It's like this guy played, like, he started his major league career back in the 1800s. Like, to me, like, I can't put him as the best, knowing that it was just a completely different game here. Now, I understand you can make that argument for why is he on the list at all? Like, all these other guys played in the 1950s. That's a different game than what was the A-Rod played in. Yes, but Honus Wagner's numbers were just incredible, like off the charts. Like, he was, like, if you look at statistically at like a number basis, his numbers are probably the best. But I feel like, so then I'm willing to still give him credit for that. Where it's just kind of like I'm kind of waiting it, where it's like I do think his numbers justify him being on the list because that's just how much higher they were. But I just feel like since A-Rod played more recently, I gave him the edge there.
Yeah, I mean, I take league quality into account too when I do the rankings. I don't know, man. I don't think, to be totally honest, I think this is probably going to be controversial, but I think the game as it was played in like the 1800s. I think the game as it was played in the 1800s is more similar to 1940 than 1940 is to 1970.
I don't think that's a crazy take. I really don't.
Like there's so much that changed with technology from 1940 to 1970 with just radio, not traveling on trains. Now you're mostly traveling by air. I mean, there's film. It's the game Babe Ruth was playing in 1916 is definitely more similar to 1871 than it is to 1975.
And honestly, that is something I took into consideration too, because if you look at my top four, it's A-Rod, Wagner, Jeter, then Ripken. So three of the four of them are guys that played at the farthest back, the 80s.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a crazy take at all to say.
Damn, cool.
All right, that's good. Yeah, the one area where I would push back is I don't consider integration as a big key difference. There are so many differences. It is one of many, but if you're going to pick that one, you have to do like, hey, we have to consider anterior cruciate ligament repair or replacement surgery, because that's impact. There are more people with that than there were black people that were brought into the game. So this is nothing about the social aspect of it. That's obviously important, but access to video, access to vitamins, access to surgical gloves, access to antibiotics, all of these things allowed players to stay on the field more. And that's only gotten easier for players to stay on the field, even if they get hurt more.
Honestly, I agree with that. I agree with that too, Pete. Like I wasn't trying to make it like that was the most important. That's just the one that came to mind first. I definitely do think it's a big aspect of it, but it's by no means the only one. And I think everything you just mentioned is equally as important.
Yeah, and I'm not. And again, like the social aspect, I'm not even discussing that part because clearly,
you just clearly talk about just the competitive.
But like every time you expand the league, it just got easier to play and hit. Right, the quality goes down, and so now we've expanded all these. So there's all these moments that allow. You know, in the mid '80s, if you lifted weights and played baseball, you were going to get bound up. They thought the A's were crazy for lifting weights, right? And so obviously that changed, and the offense has just gone up and up and up as players have gotten bigger, stronger, healthier. But they've gotten bigger, stronger, healthier not because they've evolved, but because they have access to all this. Like, hey, here's what you actually eat. Instead of eating some beef tallow and some flour and then making a gravy, like they're actually eating healthy food. And so yeah, some of that is different. I just don't like the time machine players because they played in the time that they played in, and that's why I think you compare them to the league.
Yeah.
No, and that's what I do really like about Weighted Runs Created Plus, because it does try to take it's league adjusted, to why I think that's personally the best. If you're going to look at one single stat, which I don't think you should do, but if you were, I think that's the best offensive stat to go on.
Fair enough.
But A-Rod, in my eyes, A-Rod and Wagner were both so close to where I ended up going with it. That was like the what pushed him over the edge. I didn't totally discount Wagner, push him back because no, you played too long ago. It's like, okay, like everything else is too similar. What is one thing that one player doesn't have that the other player does?
Yeah.
And it was with A-Rod being more recent as what ultimately gave him that final push.
Yeah, that kind of goes back to what Pete and I were saying earlier about when guys get so close, you're just splitting hairs. I mean, you got to look. People say, "Oh, that barely even matters." Well, I mean, it matters when guys are as close as Wagner and A-Rod are.
100%.
I didn't rank A-Rod because I was going to rank him at third base. Well, I'm going to rank him at third base, but like a factor, I would have him behind Wagner at shortstop just because I like A-Rod a lot. I like A-Rod more than most people, but he also wasn't like a great influence in the clubhouse. I don't feel like. So that would factor into my decision too.
Okay.
Stuff that normally doesn't matter starts to matter. You know what I mean? Because like you said, dude, we're splitting hairs.
And some of that off the field stuff does start to matter. I mean, none of us picked Omar Vizquel for whatever reason, but one of those reasons is partly because he's an odious person who did things like it's hard to pick someone like that. Let's so we all got Gloveman at 9, although we disagree about that. So I've got Aparicio, oldest living Hall of Famer, and you guys each have Ozzie. What do you guys have to say about those two picks?
I was originally going to leave Ozzie off because he's a below average hitter. The way I see it's like yes, defense is important. I recognize that, but offense is more important than defense. At least that's what I think it is. He's had like seasons where he's been above average on offense, but his career numbers were below average. But since shortstop is a premier defensive position, and Ozzie was leaps and bounds probably anyone who's ever played the shortstop position, I ultimately gave him the nod to where it's like if this was another position, I think center field and catcher are the only other positions where I would put someone who's below average offensively on the list if the defense makes it, because I think those are the only 3 positions where defense can make up for lack of offense enough to be top 10 of your position. So that's sort of my rationale with putting Ozzie at number 9.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. Like the defense puts him there, but like Ozzie's incapable of carrying a ball club for any extended period of time just because he can't hit. I feel like I was pretty generous giving him 9. Like
I was too.
He can't carry a ball club the same way that I'm not saying Alan Trammell was a great hitter, but Ozzie couldn't carry a ball club the way Alan Trammell could carry one, or Cal Ripken, obviously, or that matter. That's a factor for me when we're ranking greatness. Like, can a guy carry a ball club for a month, 2 months, half a season, a year, 2 years? Is he that kind of guy? I mean, I love Ozzie, dude. He's great, like you said, but he's not going to carry a ball club like even Joe Cronin could, or or Lindor.
He is probably the greatest glove person ever to play baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as we can see, right? And it's not that he was terrible. I don't like the term below average. His total bases is not even near the top. Like, he's better than the top 500. And there's been tens of thousands of players. So top 500 is pretty good. It's not below average.
Yeah, he did what he was asked to do. He
was asked to do it in the time he was asked to do it. And also, by the way, played on indoor-outdoor carpet on concrete. That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, maybe in the shortstop world, he's not the most spectacular offensive player, but no one was going to get to the amount of balls. That's one thing I wonder about too. Like, I look at how many chances, how many balls he got to versus the league, and God, he got to everything. But is it 100 balls that no one else could get to? Nope, it's not.
What is it?
And so
you look
I don't remember the number right now, but I was shocked that like that is a difference. But like if you traded a ball that no one else could get for a hit, that might be a big enough difference. But I don't know that he sustained that for his career. So and those numbers are so dodgy. Like if the Cardinals were able to hire ground ball pitchers because they knew that Ozzie and Terry Pendleton, good grief, right? Like those guys are going to gobble up a lot of balls. Well, then that probably makes him more valuable. But I didn't dive that deep into it. But there's a place to look is to see like how many balls a week did he get to that no one else could get to, and did they have more ground ball pitchers, or maybe they had fly ball pitchers there? I don't know. Maybe it's harder to catch ground balls on turf.
Yeah, I don't know. I would imagine Whitey had ground ball pitchers because of his defense.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember either. That's before my time too.
When you look at all of the shortstops all time, and you look at their total bases, Luis Aparicio is in the top 10. So that's a pretty good number. He's at 3,500. That's comparable to like Maglio or Ordonez, right? And they might have done it over different time frames, but if you've got 3,500 total bases, you're still one of the better hitters of all time. But do I have Aparicio too high, do you think?
Where do you have him?
9.
No, I don't think you have him too high. I don't have him in the top 10, but he I don't think he gets enough credit for the way he spearheaded the stolen base movement that took off in the 60s with Maury Wills and Lou Brock and those guys. I mean, the Go-Go Sox pretty much pioneered that, and they beat the Dodgers in the 59 World Series, and I think the Dodgers seeing that definitely influenced what they did with Maury Wills and stuff. I mean, Aparicio...
The Dodgers beat the White Sox in the 59 World Series.
Oh, yeah, my bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, the White Sox didn't win a World Series like 88 years. I was like, I'm missing something here. Like, is there another Go-Go Sox?
It happens.
But he led the league in steals 9 years in a row to start his career. And I mean, him and Nellie Fox at the top of that lineup, were something not to be messed with. And yeah, I don't think they get enough credit for that. I don't think Aparicio gets enough credit for that. One of the greatest defensive shortstops. I mean, came in second for the MVP that year. He was something else, man. I don't think he gets enough credit.
Yeah. Yeah, we throw a lot of shine at a lot of old players, but he definitely, for whatever reason, kind of gets lost in the mix. And maybe it's some of that leftover anti-Caribbean type thing, or maybe it's a language barrier thing. Maybe he just didn't care, and just didn't go after it. But
I think
still alive today, oldest Hall of Famer. So we can always tip our cap to that and say, hey.
I think he was the first Venezuelan to win the Rookie of the Year or something like that.
I think you're right. I think he was the first Venezuelan to do almost everything. He might not have been the first Venezuelan in the bigs, but close to it.
Carrasqual, that was there before him, was Venezuelan too.
Yeah,
he replaced Carrasqual. That was the first. Pretty sure he was the first Venezuelan there. Yeah.
At 8, you got a mess, fellas. Oh, go ahead. Say your thing.
Oh no, I was just gonna say there wasn't any Latino. There was no like anti-Caribbean, anti-Latino bias that I've ever read about in the bigs. If they were African American, if they were African American, if they were Afro-Caribbean, obviously they couldn't play.
You gotta read the You got to read Peter Karasotis' book on Felipe Alou. There's a good bit of that stuff. They had their own barriers to get through, but let's not get caught up by that. So let's look at number 8, where we definitely we have dissent here. So I picked Rollins, Tony picked Appling, and Brian snuck Lindor in there, even though he's only 31 years old. What are you guys' thoughts on Lindor?
You can go ahead, Tony.
I don't think it's insane to put him in the top 10 because Lindor is like he's just I don't even know what the right word to describe him at shortstop is. Let's just say dynamic. That's what he's definitely dynamic. You can't help but love Lindor. I don't hate putting current players on here, but again, I think it's hard to judge because it's like he's only 31. So the point is, is he going to fall off and will he keep this up until he's 41, or is he going to fall off next year? Which, like, when you're comparing all these guys who are retired already, or even dead in some cases, like you can't take into consideration, okay, when they were at their best, and then also when they fall off. Where it's like, one, there's no fall off for Lindor because he hasn't gone there yet. Or two, what if Lindor finds another life in the second half of his career and gets even better? Now, is that likely? No, but like we've seen it happen with some players. Like look at Adrian Beltre; he got better with age, as some people say. And so it's hard to compare current players to when it looks like this because you can't really look at them at the whole picture. Because I really want to put Corey Seager on here, the bottom, because I thought about Lindor as well. but it just I don't. That's sort of like my take on putting really any active player on this list.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on and on about Lindor, man. I mean, there's nothing he can't do. I mean, as a rookie, he led before sabermetrics really took off. You know, he led the league in sacrifices. Like he was your stereotypical 15, 15, 20, not even 20, 15 bombs, stealing bases and everything. Great base runner, hitting 300. And then as, they wanted power out of him. Well, then he starts hitting for power. He's hitting 38 bombs, well over 30. He's going to hit 300 home runs and steal 300 bases in his career. He's already got 1,000 runs. He's got almost 900 RBIs. I mean, he has a peak up there. He's been in the league 11 years. He's got a 10-year peak with anybody, dude. With anybody. As great as there's ever been, in my opinion. Like, well, there's nothing he can't do. He's a great clubhouse guy, great community guy, can bunt, can hit and run, hit for power, great stolen base percentage, great base runner. He was just an unbelievable player. I love the guy. I think he's I think he's top 10 already.
Back when he signed his massive extension with the Mets, I remember saying he didn't deserve $300 million. That's probably one of the worst takes I've had. Like I look back, I'm like, wow, was I wrong with that? I would happily have pay Francisco Lindor $300 million to be on my team.
Yeah, he's almost gone 33 years in a row here. He missed it by one stolen base last year.
Yeah, and legitimately was the MVP last year. You saw where the Mets came from and who got him there. It was Lindor. So there's no shade on Ohtani, but Ohtani's packed with people around him. He's supposed to make the playoffs, and they did. You look at where the Mets didn't make it this year, partly because, guys like Vientos aren't full season players. And Lindor managed to haul those guys all the way back. They were 10 games back in August.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy
to
do
insane.
that. Yeah. Yeah, and so I know that's not valuable to a lot of people, but I'll take a guy like that on my team. Jesus Christ, yeah.
Got an 823 playoff OPS.
Yeah,
guy just does everything.
Let's talk about Appling real quick.
Yeah, hold on, give me 1 second. So what happened was I was basically just looking. When I put him on there, I had already figured out I almost put Cronin behind him, but then something, I forget what it was. I'm going to pull up the numbers again. There was something about Cronin I liked a bit more compared to Appling.
Player manager.
I don't know. Maybe it'd just be my bias as I'm a Red Sox fan, so I wanted to go with the guy that played for us.
Well, and also he hit that dong in the old timers game when he was like 71 or whatever. That's good by me. I don't care if it was softball distance fences. That's an old man, just an old version of an old man, because you saw him. I know people that are 70 that are running marathons and stuff. This wasn't what Appling was, and he jacked that ball.
Yeah. Appling got better with age. Talk about a guy who got better with age.
Yeah, I think that's what it came down to. I look at his career, he had a couple of years where maybe he wasn't his best, but he was a pretty solid, consistent guy. And he debuted when he was 23, didn't have a full season until he was 24, 25.
Yeah.
And so, he just kept at it. He played until he was 43. At age 42, he hit 341. Full season, he hit 314.
Hit 388 1 year or something late in his 30s. 388, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I think what stuck out to me about Appling was just the consistency, seeing just how good he was for how many years in a row. Whereas I feel like a lot of other guys, his fall off, I feel like he just didn't have that crazy of a fall off compared to other guys, which is why I ultimately put him on number 8.
Cool. I have I got J-Roll in there. And I'll just tell you what, because every time I look at the all-time great shortstop list, I'm like, God damn, what else do you want from a guy? I mean, he was incredible. Tiny little dude who could jack home runs, played all over the field. Ricky Henderson's his hero. And he went out and just played like that. He played like all those things mattered to him. I don't know what else you need from a guy to have a great career. I can see pushing him out of the top 10 possibly, but not the top, for me, not even close to the top 15. He's in the top 10. But am I crazy?
No, I don't think so. It's kind of like a poor man's Lindor in a little bit. Didn't quite have all the shit Lindor had. But I mean, obviously I'm a Phillies fan, dude. I love J-Roll. He got a little home run happy after his MVP, but he's still awesome. Still a team
Hard
leader.
to blame a guy for that.
They kind of built that team around him pretty much. He was there earlier than anybody else. Him and Utley and Howard and all those. He was there, before all of them. He was a big deal when he came up. They were touting him as, Larry Boa mentored him. They really developed Rollins nicely. And I mean, not just developed him. I mean, Rollins was into it. I mean, he was a hardworking dude, loved baseball, great player, great teammate.
Ask me who has the third most total bases at shortstop.
Who?
J-Roll.
Really?
Yep. Now I'm specifically saying at shortstop.
Yeah.
3,875. That's his number. And let me tell you, that's incredible. And there are two dudes, one of them is Ripken, one's Jeter, that are above him. That's it. Everybody else is behind him, So however you want to categorize shortstops, that's a different conversation. But in this one, 3,800, man, that's crazy. And that OPS is still not bad. I mean, I'll take a 744 guy for 15 years, and I'll find somewhere else to get something else,
Yeah, that on top of being Gold Glove caliber, he's one of the most underrated players of the last 25 years to me.
Yeah,
people don't give him the respect he deserves and the Hall of Fame consideration he deserves.
Let's move it along. At number 6, coincidentally, Tony and I each have Larkin, and then you have Banks. We've discussed already, but we can cover him a little bit more if you need to. But what are your thoughts on Larkin, Tony?
Yeah, he's better than I thought he was, because I remember when I went into this, I don't even remember what I thought, but I just remember knowing he was a Hall of Famer. But I remember thinking if you I want to be careful I say below average for a Hall, comparative to other Hall of Famers. Not saying he didn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, but I just remember thinking that he could probably be on the back end of my list, which I guess technically he was, but I was thinking more 9 or 10. But I just feel like he had one of the better primes I've seen. If you talk about weighted runs created plus 96, he had a 157, a 143, and then a 136 following years. Then he had back in 91, which I guess was a bit before then. He had a 148, but I just feel like his prime was better than some of the other guys, at least better than the guys behind him, which is why I put him at number 6.
Yeah, well, and I kind of missed him too when he was playing. I saw him live, and we didn't have WAR to look at, and he got hurt a lot. So when he was on the field, it's great, right? But if you look at how many games he played in 162 games on average, it's not all that great. And then I looked and he had 2,000 games played, and I'm like, well, I'm shutting up about that. You get to 2,000 games played anywhere, and you're Hall of Fame grade. I mean, you may not be a Hall of Famer, but that's just hard to stay on the field that long with all these young guys coming after your job at shortstop. That alone is a Hall of Fame credential. And so, yeah, I was pretty happy with it. And then, of course, he had the numbers. I mean, he just is a offensive force, great glove guy. Yeah. So I had to put him somewhere. And I always fear that I underrated him because I never got him when he played. And so I
underrated him too before going to this. I don't really know what the best way to describe it is. I think I just didn't think he was that good. If you would ask me before I made the list where would I put Barry Larkin, I probably would have said at the highest 9 or 10.
Yeah. I like it. Anything else on these guys? On Larkin or Banks?
I felt the same way as you guys. You know what I mean? That Larkin, I was underrating Larkin. I don't have him top 10. I probably should have had him ahead of Ozzy. I don't think he's better than Lindor, but
you kick Yount out, who didn't play 2,000 games at the fucking position. How about that?
Yeah.
All right, here's number 5. This is fun. We all disagree on this. So I've got Tejada. Tony has Hippo Vaughn, and then you've got Jeter. Jeter making the list for the first time. Obviously, he's up higher on later on, but yeah. What do we think? You want to cover Vaughn?
Yeah, it just what was it? This was so what we talked about earlier. Where he doesn't have the amount of games played compared to a lot of other guys. If you look at games played, he's only at 1,817, which I mean, yes, still a lot. But if you look at
that's not bad. Yeah, right.
If you look at compared to who else we're talking about here, who else is in his field, like who are the Hall of Fame shortstops, that's less than, like, it's far less than Ripken. It's less than Wagner. It's less total games than A-Rod, but it might be more since he split time at short and third. Less than Appling, less than Smith. Like, it's just a far less amount of games. To where if he played more games, I'd probably put him top 3 instead of top 5. But I clicked on the stuff here. If you look at what stuck out to me were like his offensive numbers, because if you look at them, he had a higher offensive numbers, at least what I'm looking at, compared to a lot of other guys. And I think, yes, it kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier, where it's like valuable, what's valuable, what's the most valuable, and what's the best aren't necessarily equal. And I was looking at this as what is the best, as in what is who has the highest talent. And I feel like Vaughn's talent was higher than the guys below him, which is why I only gave him the 5 spot.
Yeah, I can understand that. Obviously, I like the guy to be on the field and at the position. That's kind of how I look at it. But there's a lot of ways to look at this stuff. So I can appreciate you wanting him to be exactly where he is. Brian, what are your thoughts on your picks and that pick in general?
I'm not a big Arky Vaughn guy. I think his defense is overrated. I think he's 4th in the Jaws rating, in the Hall of Fame rating on Baseball Reference, which I think is crazy. I don't know. I probably could have had him in the top 10, but I'm just not enamored with the guy. I don't think he's Appling. I don't think he's Joe Cronin. I don't think he's Willie Wells. I mean, how many guys from the 30s can be that good? Yeah, a short career. I mean, he had a great peak and everything. Short career. I don't know. I'm just not enamored with the guy.
Yeah, plays 260 games at other positions, and so what you're talking about is, 1485 games, and just to look at innings, right? Like, because no one plays shortstop more than Jeter. Jeter's on the list right now. We'll talk about him real quick. No one plays shortstop more than Jeter. And if I go look right now, 13,000 innings is going to get swamped by someone like Jeter. And again, like rate and peak and all that stuff. But if I've got a guy for another, if it's going to be 7,000 innings, I'll take Jeter for 7,000 innings over anybody. You give me 7,000 innings of that level to play. Yeah, it's tough, right? But it's also, Arky Vaughn it's fun to pick Arky Vaughn. Travis Jackson, same thing. It'd be fun to pick Travis Jackson, right? And if we're going to put guys who played 1,000 games at the position, like Banks and those guys, Jackson might be someone we have to consider. Maybe we left him out. Any other thoughts on those guys? How about me with Tejada at 5? Is that something you guys?
I love Tejada. He's a great player. Definitely underrated. I might take Cabrera over Arky Vaughn if I really went through things and looked at it. I might take him over a lot of guys that are in the Hall of Fame. I think he's not. I think he doesn't get consideration because I think he was on the Mitchell report. But
right.
Yeah, yes, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, seems just one of the most supremely underrated guys. I mean, just a stud.
Yeah. Stud. Yeah. He's got 1,947 games at the position, over 1,000 runs. Just a great player overall. But yeah, I mean, like there is the I kind of just waved off the steroids thing, because here's okay, and this is just me. I'll just go super fast. I know Tony's got to go. Here's how I look at steroids. We don't know their impact, the deleterious or the positive impact. We just don't know. We can't separate that from access to video, access to advanced coaching, access to personal chefs, access, all this other stuff. 4 teams of expansion. How do you sort out what was steroids and what was just, hey, there's 50 new pitchers in the league that shouldn't have been, whatever, that wouldn't normally be there? Because when you look at the not only, here's the thing about that era of expansion, not only did you get 4 new teams when they made the new agreement, and I think it was 94, 95, when they made that agreement, I believe it was then that they said, okay, we're going to have the 25-man roster. So they had been rocking 24-man rosters before that. And so they added a whole nother team worth of players. And so, like, if you're telling me that steroids was the prime factor, maybe, but show me. because I got to see it. So I kind of say, yeah, whatever those guys did in that time is what they did in that time. And if you tell me that no one's doing steroids today, I'm going to laugh in your face because that's just not true. These guys know what
the
they're
way
doing.
I see it too, when it comes to like the steroid era specifically, it's like what's that? Like I wasn't there. I don't fully know what's going on, but from what I do know, it seems as though MLB knew what was going on and chose not to do it. And I feel like if Major League Baseball is allowing it to happen, then who are we to them shame them or punish them for using steroids when they were allowed to do it back then?
Yeah. You know, Brian has a specific job. Brian, if you could take a pill that would make you 10% better at your job and you could make that much more money or even 10 times that much more money, would you take it?
Yeah, it depends what the side effects are.
Well, unknown.
Don't steroids make your bipper shrink and give you boobs?
Yeah, there's some of that. Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not, right?
As long as a lot of us things don't happen.
Yeah. A lot of us would do it. All right, let's keep this moving so Tony can wrap up with us. We got at 4. These are the 4th best according to us individually: Trammell, Ripken, and Wright. So tell us about Wright, because that's the biggest difference name on the list so far. So go ahead, Brian.
Oh, I love George Wright, dude. he was the stud of studs from like 1865 to 1875, and he doesn't have a whole lot of black ink or anything like that, but I mean the game was different back then offensively. Obviously, I mean, you put the ball in play, guys don't got gloves on, you're calling for the pitch high or low. I mean, you just put the ball in play, hit it hard, guys can't field it, you're ripping around the bases. Base running is far more important, defense is far more important, and defensively he was ambidextrous. He could field the ball either hand, whip it around. I read guys, there were accounts and guys claiming that he threw ambidextrous as well, but I messaged John Thorne about that a few months ago and asked him, and he said there's no evidence that Wright threw with both hands, which would have been badass, because I was
about to say that sounds sick to be able to throw both hands.
They fielded barehanded, obviously, and I mean, he kind of came from a baseball family. His dad came over here to be a cricket master, which he was, and then trained his kids to be cricket masters, and they took up baseball because they were Americanized. They came over here from Sheffield, England. And I mean, he was the stud of all studs, dude. Whatever team he went to was killing it. I mean, he would go to teams like, I mean, probably no one's even gonna know what I'm talking about, but he went to the Unions of Morrisana in New York, and freaking, they started killing it. What he did with the Reds on that 1869 tour, he destroyed it. I mean, he's just a great player. He's in the Hall of Fame as a contributor, not as a pioneer. He's not whatever he is. He's not in as a player, which is crazy, because pretty much all he did was play. He didn't really influence the game that much off the field, but he did in golf.
I'm not going to challenge John Thorne, and his research and everything, but I'm ambidextrous, and I'm very ambidextrous. And my grandfather could throw both hands. He did it when he was an elite athlete back in his day. He's also a World War II Hellcat pilot. He's badass.
Nice.
But he in games on occasion would throw left-handed. I often would do it. I wouldn't even realize I was doing it. It's just whatever hand is comfortable. So you don't do it by design. You do it because this is like the way to throw the ball or whatever. So if he was ambidextrous in that time, I absolutely believe that he threw with whatever hand was the best hand to throw with, because you're not bound by handedness. And if he's ambidextrous like I am, like there's all kinds of levels of ambidextrousness, but if you can throw left-handed, you're going to throw left-handed when it makes sense.
Yeah, the guy has legs like tree trunks. You look at a picture of him, he looks like freaking Saquon Barkley. Like the guy's just an athlete, dude, just a beast.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I think
you got
great player.
You've got Ripken all the way down at 4, Tony. What's going on?
Yeah, I just felt like Ripken. I think it's the same thing with me about amount of games played versus top talent. I just felt like Ripken's fall off towards the back end of his career wasn't as good. Towards like the latter half of his career, he wasn't as consistent as the guys that have ahead of him. And I also feel like obviously Wagner and A-Rod's primes were a lot better. Like I would put A-Rod and like if I'm like tiering, and he's like A-Rod and Wagner, like they're like S tier. I don't feel like anyone else like is going to come close to that number one spot, at least in my definition of the best.
Right.
And then a tier below them, like A tier, is where I put Jeter and Ripken. I do think they're close, but I just felt like Jeter, like as we talked about, like Jeter's, and once again, I'm a Red Sox fan. I think Jeter is one of the most overrated baseball players there is. I'm definitely biased. I'm not going to pretend like I'm not. But compared to, like, if you're looking at shortstops, like I think he's better than Cal Ripken Jr. I feel like he was better. Like at their best, I think Jeter was better. I feel like Jeter did it for a longer time. Like we talked about, like, for the back half of his career, the last 9 seasons, he was the best shortstop in the AL, or top five in all of baseball.
Yeah.
Once again, I didn't do the research if Cal Ripken Jr. was that when he was towards the back half of his career, but just from a quick look at his numbers, I don't think he would have been. I just felt like Cal fell off too quickly, where he wasn't as good for as long as people might think he is. I just feel like Jeter was just better.
When did Cal Ripken fall off? When did he stop being a prime player? Because he wins an MVP, like in 91 or something like that?
Yes. It's really not long after that's when he fell off, because no matter what offensive metric you're using, like the numbers definitely go down. Like he hit 323 in 91, and then next year he hit 250. He hit 251, 257. Then he hit 315 and 94. Like he wasn't bad after 91. I just don't know if he was necessarily great after 91, after his age 30 season, where I felt like you could still say Jeter was great after his 30 season.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to see if I can run a report on 91 to 96 shortstops. And or we'll say 92 to 96. I'll run those 4 years and we'll see who comes out on the top, because I don't know. And I'm interested to find that out. Maybe you won't be here. Maybe you've got to go, but I'll tell you what we get from that. I've got Ripken. I've got Trammell to go with that. And look, I think that's about right for Trammell. You know, it's a shame he had to wait so long to get to the Hall of Fame. But any particular comments on Trammell? Did you guys have Trammell at all? No, you didn't have Trammell. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Was I wrong about Trammell being 4?
Trammell ahead of Ripken?
No, I have Trammell at 4. I have Ripken at 2.
Okay.
Tony has Ripken at 4 and doesn't have Trammell at all.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ripken, man. Saint Cal Ripken, dude. Ripken was huge in Central Pennsylvania when I was growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, a big role model. Everyone loved him. I mean, he's just nothing other than speed. He had everything. I mean,
yeah.
He didn't hit for average great, but for a shortstop, hit for average pretty good. I love Cal, man. He's funny story. When I was like in, I think I was like 5th or 6th grade, a bunch of guys from my high school baseball team went down and installed a pool at his house for him, and he came out and met them all and everything, and was real cool to him. And when word got back around here about that, oh my, did Cal Ripken's reputation skyrocket, dude? I mean, good Lord, people love him around here.
Yeah. So no beef with Trammell being at 4? I mean, it's high. You guys didn't even get him on your guys' list. Any comments on that?
I mean, I think it's pretty high, but it's not like egregious. I mean, you can hardly go wrong, you know.
Yeah, I don't think it's egregious either.
You know, his OPS isn't terribly high, especially for modern players. He played in a park that was pretty good for offense overall, Tiger Stadium. He's got 3,200 total bases, so there's numbers there. But you know, it's he had to wait for the Hall of Fame for a reason. He didn't wow everybody, so I guess I don't know. You got to put him somewhere, so I put him there. By the way, I neglected to talk about Pee Wee Reese. I put him at 7. I want to go back real quick and talk about that. I had to, and I don't normally, and you know this, Brian. I don't normally like add caveats in there, but I'm like, man, this guy was in World War III or World War II for 3 seasons. And if he just has 150 hit seasons, which was about what he did around then, he's above 2,600 hits. And then all of a sudden, you know, he's just that much better. And so I felt like I had to put him in there. And anytime you have 3 years of WAR, your overall career WAR is going to be high in my book. So there you go on that. All right. So there's my note on Reese.
To add to that, the entire Dodgers culture shift was built around Pee Wee Reese. That whole Boys of Summer dynasty is built around Pee Wee Reese.
I was reading that. I was reading that book that back either March or April. I read The Boys of Summer for this time. I thought it was so interesting when he was returning from war. They told him like, "Oh yeah, the Dodgers signed a black man. He might be coming for your position." I remember Reese's thoughts were, "Well, if he's better than me, he should get my position." So I thought that was interesting.
That's so that generation too. Like they're just like, "Yep, well, we all got things to do," just kind of matter of fact about all of it, Yeah, it's funny. Okay, so the next line here is I've got Ozzy, and then Tony, you've got Jeter, and then Brian's got some guy named Lloyd.
Lloyd?
Yeah. I was just saying, I think I do unfortunately have to go.
Okay, would you do your Jeter? Well, you already did your Jeter note, right? You already did Wagner, and you already did A-Rob. All right, man, get out of here. We'll talk to you
later. Thanks
for
having me on.
See, man, nice meeting you.
Thank you. Yeah, and no one called you young man. You got Zenny on with him. Zenny kept saying, "Young man, listen!" And he just, "Young man!" and screaming into his computer. All right, man. So tell us about Lloyd.
Yeah, Pop Lloyd. Growing up, Pop Lloyd was like the Negro League Mount Rushmore. It always seemed to me anyway. I didn't think that was really up for question. It was Pop Lloyd, Josh Gibson, Satchel Paige, and Oscar Charleston were the best Negro Leaguers. And it seems like Lloyd his reputation has just like disappeared. Like he played before the Negro leagues that are technically major leagues. So that hurts him. And when they made the Negro leagues major leagues, and I'm glad that people wanted to bring attention to the Negro leaguers and stuff and talk about them. As much they didn't really. There was a lot of lip service paid to it, but people forgot about it pretty quick. But Lloyd was just a stud his whole career. The formative teams, the Lincoln Giants and stuff. He was in the center of that. He was a big deal in spreading the game to Cuba. Him and Home Run Johnson went down there, and they really they modernized the game down. The Havana Reds were like the New York Yankees of Cuba. And Cuba kind of developed separately from America, some of their traditions and stuff. And the Negro Leaguers that joined Havana they modernized the strategy and training and stuff like that for them. And Lloyd and Johnson were a big deal in that. And Lloyd, that just speaks to his intangibles. He was a leader. He was reliable. He always showed up. If you look at his stats that are available on Baseball Reference from age 37 to 45, he was already playing second base by then. But his OPS plus and stuff kind of speaks for itself. And I generally take about like 11-12% off of Negro Leaguer OPS plus just for league quality purposes and stuff, because the leagues were stuff was bouncing around. There wasn't as much stability. But even if you take that 15% off, he's still got a crazy OPS plus for his age. And people are citing, Willie Wells people are in love with Willie Wells now, and rightfully so. He's a great player, deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, et cetera, et cetera. Right. But I never read anything in my life that made me think Willie Wells was better than John Henry Lloyd. And on top of it, Negro League OPS plus isn't adjusted for park. And the parks in the Negro Leagues were extremely disparate parks. You had incredible variety of parks. And that needs to be taken into account, because where Willie Wells' home run power comes in is entirely at Stars Park in St. Louis, which is like Baker Bowl in Philadelphia. Cool Papa Bell hit home runs in Stars Park, dude. Like everyone hit home runs in Stars Park.
Yeah.
So his power, Willie Wells' power is an anomaly. And there's just nothing there to get him ahead of Pop Lloyd for me. Like, you really got to do your research to really know what you're talking about with Negro Leaguers. Like, you got to have a lot of context, because the stats aren't giving you anything close to the full story. And that's just kind of a pet peeve of mine. I didn't rank Lloyd up there just to talk about him. Like, I really think he is one of the top 5 shortstops of all time. Like, he's that good. He's that great. And I think it's a real disservice to him just to look at stats like that. And people, Negro Leaguers before 1920 get the short shaft anyway, because there's really not a whole lot of stats on them. I just really think it's a shame what's happened to Pop Lloyd's reputation.
And then the other thing on the other end of it, at the end of the Negro Leagues, we struggle with this, but they kind of just cut it off and say, and that's it for the Negro Leagues being a major league. And some of that's because the quality players went up, but that wasn't a clean process. That was a process of, and this is, look, these are people of their time. If Brian's a black guy and he doesn't seem like he would integrate well because he's, I don't know, angry at white people, he's been, cowed to a point where he would be uncomfortable. Some of those guys just elected to stay because it wasn't guaranteed that shit was going to work. And so and I'm just giving some examples. The more you read into it, the more you read how complex it was trying to decide who could, who should, who would. And we didn't get everybody. And there's guys who are like, I'm making money now, I'm not going to risk it. That's a real thing as well. And so you get guys like Jim Gilliam who, could have made the jump 2 years earlier, and he would have maybe displaced Billy Cox. I think it's Billy Cox from third base for the Dodgers. And that guy was all glove, and he easily could have replaced him. And maybe that team wins the World Series in 51. Because you got a guy who's even a smidge better, and all of a sudden the Dodgers have a way better team, but he didn't get out. And so partly because of the secondary color barriers that were in place, but also they just wiped those seasons away as he was competing at the highest level in the Negro Leagues and winning. So there's that end of it too, where we didn't do a good job of closing it out. Is there a perfect answer? No. But yeah, guys like Pop Lloyd and Jim Gilliam pay the price for that lack of integration. When it finally does happen, they were on the edges. And like any of these things, if you gap 2 years, you get strike years. Well, that takes a whole season for 94, 95. That takes almost a whole season off of your books. And because numbers matter, we care about that. Speaking of numbers that matter and what happened, I'm looking at 92's shortstops, 92 to 96. And guess what? Cal Ripken was pretty damn good. If you wanted a guy to hit shortstop, hit it shortstop and have extra base hits, it's Cal. If you want the guy to have the most home runs by almost 20 home runs, it's Cal. And if you wanted total bases, it's Cal. And so maybe he isn't the best shortstop, but he is not a bad shortstop. And only during that time where I put the bar, and I put it pretty low, I put it 120 extra base hits, 120 over 5 years. So that's 12 dudes. So you're better than every other guy during that era, if you're Cal Ripken. And so late Cal Ripken may not have been as good as peak Cal Ripken, but he was better than most of the league. Yeah. And that's crazy. And that happens all the time with these late career. And I didn't put any of third base games in. And I just put his 92 to 96 numbers in there.
Yeah. And I remember reading that he was a big guy for a shortstop. And that there was there wasn't like people didn't like him or anything. It was just, there's kind of an idea that he looked Doppett compared to the smaller shortstops. He looked a little gangly and stuff, and didn't get the credit for his defense he deserved just because of that.
It took a long time. Yeah, it took a long time for him to get credit. Yeah, because he was long-legged. He's like Canseco, when Canseco would run. It didn't look like he was going fast. Or Derek Lee. When Derek Lee opened that gate up, he covered a lot of ground. He was fast. But it didn't seem like it. Ohtani's the same way. He's going fast because he steals bases, but if he's running, you're like, well, he's not going anywhere. And then all of a sudden he's gone,
Bellinger too.
Oh yeah.
Bellinger's fast.
Yeah. He is fast. He's really fast. He was elite fast. I don't know if he still is now, but he was, boy, that guy is a good ball player. It's a shame that whatever physically happened to him to take him down a grade happened, because that was a Hall of Famer in the making. But, that's baseball, right? It collects careers. The next guy's up. I've got Ozzie Smith at third, primarily because I'm respecting the glove and the era that he played in. I probably have him too high, but I don't know where to put him. So I have him up there because he does have a lot of hits. He does play for a long time. He plays on turf, and that to me is just so impossible. Tony had Wagner, and you have Ripken at number 2.
Yep. Yeah, I said a ton about Cal. I love Cal. There's some great memories in my life, like when he broke the games played record. My family got together. We were down at my grandparents, and my grandma's telling me what a great guy Cal Ripken is, and he's a role model and all this stuff. Just great times with Cal Ripken and the Orioles and stuff.
Yeah,
good times in the 90s there.
Well, let's get to the last row here, because these are the number one guys for us. I've got Derek Jeter as the GOAT. Tony has A-Rod, And then you've got Hans Wagner again. So I'm not you twice, but you have him at the top list.
Right,
and
right.
We've talked about him several times. But any final notes on Hans before we wrap up Honus Wagner?
No, the only thing that I would say is it's like who else besides him moves to shortstop at age 28 besides like Mookie Betts? Like guys don't do that.
No,
it's a crazy move.
And his peers acknowledged how great he was. They were all like, "Oh my God, giant hands, threw rocks with the ball, all that." Anytime you grab a ball and you try to throw rocks with it, you're whether you realize it or not, you're paying homage to Honus Wagner, you know. Yeah. And I for sure would do that if I was playing third or short. I'd grab as much dirt as I could and just huck it because I wanted dirt to fly and hit the first baseman.
Yeah, back then they said guys that were bow-legged like him were guys that were bow-legged. That was a good sign you were a good ball player.
Yeah, it's probably true. It's probably true. Yeah. I can't do A-Rod number one. I can't do A-Rod in the top 10. For me, he doesn't play the game at the position long enough. I don't mind Tony picking that, but Derek Jeter plays shortstop for 23,000 innings.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, dude, I'm fine with Derek Jeter number one, dude. I'm not a Jeter hater.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate people that hate on Jeter. I'm not a Yankee fan.
Yeah.
Man, he was so
and it's not hating on A-Rod to say that he's not the best shortstop of all time because he wasn't there, right? He's an incredible ball player. Just talking about it's like Brett. I think Brett is I imitated Brett. Like we all loved George Brett. We all wanted to run around crazy and scream about stuff. But if you wanted to find the best third baseman, it's not going to be George Brett. He's not far down the list, but you have to look at him at the player he was. He was a player that moved around and plays almost 1,000 games at other positions. A-Rod is the same. And there's nothing wrong with A-Rod's game. He just if we're going to talk about the greatest at a given position, you can't give up 1,000 games to somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not obviously not as hard on that as you are, but I get it, man. Even shortstop, it's a big defensive position, and a big part of it is defense. You got to be there to play defense, dude.
Yeah. I'm writing a thing about Derek Jeter. We'll see if I ever get it done, but it looks at those years. Like there's a conversation that Bill James had, maybe with Tango, maybe with Thorne, one of those guys. Anyhow, and they were talking about how Derek Jeter was a terrible fielder. And then I just look and I go, compared to what? I mean, Matt Williams tried to be a shortstop in the big leagues. At least he played there a little bit. Is he better shortstop than Matt Williams? Yes. Is he a better shortstop than Mike Schmidt? Okay, yes. How about Jim Thome, who started out as a shortstop? Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Oh, okay. I mean, at some point you're like, he's not the worst fielder in the world. He's just not. But we have this impression. And then you look what happens when I'm trying to remember who was playing short primarily for, I think it was the Astros. But they had Mark Loretta in there a couple of games, but I can't remember who the prime guy was.
You're talking about the Adam Everett tape.
Yes, Adam Everett. Yeah. And Adam Everett wasn't the healthiest player. So every game that he doesn't play, someone else has to play it. And so you're either going to get more glove or more bat or just less capacity in general. Yeah. And with Jeter, he stands out there and just continues to do the job.
Yeah, that was one of analytics early coups against the eye test for evaluating defense. Was somebody put together a tape of like a week's worth of Derek or a month's worth of Derek Jeter plays, and then compared it to a month's worth of Adam Everett plays, and did all the math and stuff, and showed that Jeter wasn't that good of a shortstop. Blah blah blah. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Jeter's defense, but I think his shortcomings are pretty freaking overrated defensively.
Yeah,
and the hate people give him just for being a Yankee.
Yeah. But most of the hate about Derek Jeter is about somebody other than Derek, right? That analysis too, right? Like, so I get it. His positioning wasn't as good. Did he make the plays? Okay, maybe not as often. How many plays is that he didn't make? And who's got more double plays than that guy? And it's like, so if he didn't get to this ball, but he got to the next one and a double play happened, all is forgiven, at least in my book. I mean, yeah, you weren't as good on offense. And by the way, if he does flump it, who's going to get a hit more than him at shortstop?
Yeah,
nobody.
No, best hitting shortstop since, one of the greatest of all time, dude. Not even a question.
How about a hat tip for Hans Wagner still being relevant in the top ever conversation 100 plus years after he, ever touched a ball? That's incredible to be that good.
Yeah, not many. Who else is going to get that love? Ty Cobb, Tris Speaker in center field, other than that.
Gehrig. Yeah, Gehrig at first. Yeah, Ty Cobb, and even Ty Cobb, you can be like, pushed aside, but still top 3. You just he's going to have to be top 3. Well, I guess we'll find out when we get to center field. But anything you want to say before we wrap this up? And thanks for doing this with me, man. I appreciate it.
It's no problem, dude. Sorry I got on late. I would say just Joe Cronin, one of the most underrated players to me. Sorry, I was going to skip into something else, but with the Senators in 33, they made him the manager, and he had a big role in the signing of players and acted as basically an assistant GM to Griffith and helped build that team in 33. Batted cleanup, was the manager, was a Gold Glove caliber shortstop. I mean, just did everything for him and all that. And then he goes to the Red Sox, and Tom Yawkey is just buying up everybody, trying to make the Red Sox competitive with no care in the world for anything except what your numbers were, and had Cronin there to manage. And the team was just insubordinate, dude. I've never read about a team with more punk asses on it than the 1930s Red Sox. I mean, the shit they were doing to Joe Cronin, just disrespecting him, is unbelievable, dude. I don't know anything
about this stuff. This is
G Walker, and was a right fielder, played for the Tigers, and Wes Farrell. They would go behind their back to Yawkey and talk shit on Cronin and Yawkey. Right. I mean, they were just going behind his back, doing everything to try and get him fired. I mean, fighting him, talking shit on him to the media, disrespecting him to his face in front of the team. And they had the talent to go places, and the team was just divided because these guys were just insubordinate, total. Alcohol fueled too. Some of it's alcohol fueled.
Oh my God, these guys with their alcohol and their fights.
There's more guys too. Who was the third? I can't remember who the heck the third baseman was, but man, they just the worst clubhouse I've ever read about.
Yeah.
I always felt bad for it. Lou Boudreau gets more credit for like his peak and stuff and being a player manager than Joe Cronin gets for what he did with the Senators and the Red Sox, which is, I don't think it's fair. I think Joe Cronin's one of the most underrated players there are.
Yeah. Boy, that stuff about Adam Everett and the length of his career, the health of his career, 7-year peaks and everything. And man, I get it, right? But if you can sign someone who's going to 7-year peak, I've got Derek Jeter for 23,000 innings at shortstop. You have to take that. I've got Cal Ripken, who apparently was a great shortstop from 92 to 96. See, we didn't know because we hadn't looked, but if there is something, and maybe I'm overvaluing games played, but 7 years, then what? Then who's going to play there? It's like how many times has a franchise lost their key player? Ron Santo leaves. Who's the next great Cubs third baseman? It's a long time. You don't just get that. Yeah, Ramirez, maybe a couple of years of Ron Say, but only a couple.
Yeah.
And Ramirez, who also is woefully underrated, but we'll talk about him the next time we do a show.
Yeah.
But all right, anything you want to close out with? And by the way, here's the list, everybody. Ripken is first. He had the most points in our little 3-judge panel. Honus Wagner, Ozzie, A-Rod, Larkin, Cronin, Lloyd, right? And you can see, because we only have 3 judges, one high score is really influential. So maybe if you guys want to score these things, but do the work, dig in. It's a lot of fun to look at the numbers and see what happens. Anything before we wrap this up?
One of my favorite, I'll just say one of my favorite historical facts is how many great shortstops the Pittsburgh Pirates brought up between the mid-20s and the mid-30s. I mean, they brought up Joe Cronin, Pie Traynor was a shortstop, Dick Bartell, Glenn Wright was a real phenom there for a while. They brought up who's the other guy we just mentioned? They brought up so many guys, man. The Pirates were just bringing up shortstops like nobody. They brought up Archie Vaughn.
Yeah.
A crazy amount of talent they were bringing up there in Pittsburgh. They don't get any credit for being a cradle of shortstops the way they were back then.
Yeah. And that's the thing is when we don't have the numbers to back it up they don't have the numbers then, but like we do now to back up what we're seeing and everything else. So you just develop your crazy tests, all the different tests that all the different GMs gave to players, and they're just you happen to find a hotbed where there's a good coach who can develop shortstops, or Connie Mack, who's like, I love Swedes. Give me any Swede from Central North, and I'll be damned. He found good players up there, and it's like, because otherwise if you're in Minnesota, how the hell are you going to get out of there? If you're in North Dakota, right? Like, just to take a train out there is a significant commitment. To go watch a kid play once, and Connie Mack reliably pulled talent out of there. Holy shit, that's incredible.
Dude, the A's were everywhere in Pennsylvania back in the day. I mean, he had inroads. Dude, I told you where I'm from, dude. I'm 40 minutes from a red light, and he was back then. Every guy around here that made it to the minors or got to the majors was with the A's. I mean, he just had bird dogs everywhere, dude.
Yeah, bird dogs, man. Bird dogs and just open tryouts. Bring your grandma down. If she's got a good arm, she'll get a shot. Yeah.
There wasn't.
All right, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. You go.
I was just going to say there wasn't a 10-cow dairy farm in Pennsylvania that Connie Mack didn't know about.
Yeah.
Like, he just everywhere, dude. Yeah.
All right, we're going to wrap this thing up. Everybody, we'll see you. I don't think I'm doing a show tomorrow, but maybe on Friday I've got one. Well, no, we'll find out. You guys will know. I'll be around.
Man.
All right, here we go.